Imagine, on Tuesday, July 22nd, 1902, your brother was the Town Marshal of Jackson, Kentucky, and you were a police officer. You tried to keep the peace between two factions in your county over a contested election. The actions that both of you take during this conflict in 1901 would leave you on this day without your brother for the rest of your life. Now, 3 years later, you're being called to testify against those that plotted to have him killed. While the testimony of Tom Cockrill is brief, we can look upon what happened during those events and what he possibly testified to in court. We can only imagine how emotional this was for him, but he held his own, as we do not find that he broke down on the stand. Come along with us as we listen to the testimonies of Tom Cockrill and Charles Terry. All aboard the Kentucky-Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine, but it convinces the YouTube algorithm that we need a bigger time machine to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. Tom Cockrill called to testify. One of the most important and least reported testimonies is that of Tom Cockrill. While he did not actually see the assassination of his brother take place, he did shed light on a possible motive for the murder. From the Breathitt County News, Jackson, Kentucky, April 21st, 1905. Quote, Tom Cockrill was the next witness who testified as to the attempted arrest of James Hargis for the breach of peace committed in Markham's office during the taking of depositions in the contest cases, unquote. We will give a brief summary of those events. However, it is of note, before this conflict took place, the Breathitt County feuds had taken on many forms over the many years. What is interesting is even though the area was divided, Hargis claims that he had no ill feelings towards the Cockrills up to this point, and that he considered them to be friends. Going back to the contested election. So, let's go back in time a little bit here. The political fight for Eastern Kentucky came to a head in the Breathitt County election held in spring of 1902. There was an election for the seats of county judge and sheriff of Breathitt County. At that time, Jim Cockrill was the town marshal, and James B. Markham and O.H. Pollard were law partners. There were lawsuits and accusations flying, and depositions needed to be taken, with Pollard taking one side and Markham taking the other side of the conflict. It was not long for a disagreement over the cross-examination of a witness that became heated. Guns were drawn. Markham ordered everyone out of his office. This led to warrants being issued by the city judge T.P. Caldwell, Jr., and fines of $20 being paid by attorney Markham. Because of the conflict between Caldwell and Hargis, Hargis refused to appear before Caldwell. Instead, Hargis went to the magistrate Edwards, who was a personal friend, for trial. There was a question of jurisdiction. On one side of the story, Jim and Tom Cockrill went with their guns drawn to force an arrest of Hargis to make him appear before Caldwell. On the other version of this, Tom and Jim went to arrest James Hargis, and he refused to surrender and went for his gun, but the Cockrills were quicker on the draw. However, Sheriff Ed Callahan was also present and drew his gun. After seeing that the Cockrills were not going to back down and that they were both outgunned, both men surrendered to the Cockrills. However, the animosity between the two sides did not cool. The brothers, Tom and James Cockrill, tried to hold the peace between the two factions. There is a debate about this, as the Hargis clan felt that the Cockrills were hired to kill them. For more information about this conflict, please view our video, Bloody Breathitt County, the Hargis-Caldwell-Cockrill Feud, Part 2. Tom Cockrill's arrest. In later testimonies, we will come across a barroom shootout between Tom Cockrill and Ben Hargis, and how Tom Cockrill would face a trial for the shooting. We will also hear testimony of how Tom Cockrill was also arrested in Lexington for stealing his own picture from a woman. While we feel this was done to try to discredit Tom Cockrill as a witness, all of this is to come, and we are still in the state's case against the Hargis faction. For now, this part of the story is the testimony of Tom Cockrill, given in this trial as it stands at the moment. The testimony of Charles Terry. In this trial, we are introduced to Charles Terry. We have seen his name several times in the Hargis cases as a deputy sheriff who was sent to capture several people or hold several people in the jail. According to our Breathitt County news source, quote, Charles Terry was next introduced, who testified concerning the same facts, unquote. While not a lot is said about Charles Terry in this section of the newspaper, he was reported in other papers as to testifying about the maneuvers in the courtroom during the hearing for Tom Cockrill's bail. While Terry was not present in the conflict between Hargis, Callahan, and the Cockrills, he did testify to what he knew about in the matter. In the next video, we will go over the controversial testimony and confession of Anderson Ants White. We will also get his cross-examination by Farrell. Thank you. We at Kentucky, Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the Appalachian feuds. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification button. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky, Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Appalachian history.